The program is a presentation of the Public Affairs Department of Channel 6. This is a baby born in Augusta this Thanksgiving week. Its parents are mighty proud of the little one. They have great dreams of what he may become and of the contributions he will make to mankind. We here at WJBF Channel 6 in Augusta wish for the child's success, vision, humility. We can well understand the pride this young couple has in their offspring. You see, we too are observing a birthday this week. On Thanksgiving Day, 10 years ago, a new industry, television, was born in this area. This was a first in a long line of television firsts for WJBF. The industry was and is challenging, but carries with it many obligations. For the industry to perform appropriately in the leadership of its community, it must inform, entertain, persuade, promote, and protect. We humbly assure you we will never forget these responsibilities. On this Thanksgiving night, we want to say thank you for allowing us to be guests in your home so often. Since you spend so much of your time in front of your television set, we felt you would be interested in knowing more about this station's history, in seeing a TV station and its employees at work. Since you're a friend, we invite you to visit our home, which exists to serve you. Our story begins in the early 1940s when J.B. Fuqua, a native of Virginia, came to Augusta to build and manage WGAC radio in Augusta. Mr. Fuqua had been the youngest radio officer in the U.S. Merchant Marine at the age of 17. And shortly after coming to Augusta, he became the youngest radio station manager in the history of broadcasting up to that time. The station and its staff were featured in a two-page story in Life magazine in 1942 as America's typical small radio station. Several of the same people who are shown here are still working together here at WJBF over 20 years later. The station's prestige grew with the presentation of such programs as America's Town Meeting of the Year. That popular network program originated from Augusta in April 1944 and featured 4 congressmen debating the question, should President Roosevelt be elected for a 4th term? In 1946, under its dynamic young management, the station increased its power to 5,000 watts and moved into beautiful new offices and studios. Mr. Fuqua purchased control of radio station WTNT in Augusta in 1949, and the call letters were changed to WJBF, which stand for J.B. Fuqua. The potential of a new communications medium, television, was recognized here even before many larger cities had this service. Immediately, plans began to bring television to this area. Equipment was bought in 1950 to train our staff so they would be ready when a permit was granted. It was held up because of the Korean conflict. Television was first provided locally by WJBF TV, operating from this building. On Thanksgiving Day, 1953, at 11 a.m., this station sent out its first signal. Channel 6 offered such network programs as Milton Berle, Groucho Marx, Dave Garroway, The Hit Parade, to name just a few. Augusta's pioneer station presented locally news and weather. Sheriff John. Today in Dixie. Cowboy Kent. Then, in the summer of 1956, a fire shooting flames 100 feet into the air heavily damaged our facilities. Even though the damage was extensive, Channel 6 was only off the air a few hours. We operated from that shell for over 15 months longer while a new building was under construction. The new Channel 6 was built in downtown Augusta on Reynolds Street at 10th. Besides new offices and studios, a new 1,300-foot tower was erected. Typical of the leadership of WJBF, it was the tallest structure east of the Mississippi River at the time. WJBF began telecasting from this site in November 1957, and thousands visited us during open house in observance of the occasion. In the years that followed, Channel 6 continued to offer leadership in television service to the area. The staff of WJBF has always shown a genuine interest in being a part of the community, in their churches, in civic clubs, and governmental affairs. Here, the March of Dimes receives an assist. The WJBF youth basketball team and baseball team. Staff members have answered the call of their country in times of crisis. Mr. Fuqua, owner and general manager of WJBF, was active in almost every part of the civic and business life of his community. Because he felt the need of more businessmen in government, Mr. Fuqua entered political life. His time and his services were offered to the voters in 1957, and he was elected to the Georgia House of Representatives. In 1962, he was elected state senator. Also last year, he played a most important role in the successful campaign of his close friend Carl Sanders for governor of Georgia. Incidentally, Sanders has been an officer and director of Fuqua Industries for many years. Fuqua became chairman of the State Democratic Executive Committee in 1962. Thus, while WJBF was devoted to serving the public, its owner and its staff likewise were giving of their personal time and service to the community. This brings us to the present. This is Augusta, home of Channel 6, and what a booming metropolis it is. To travel over the city is to see progress. Heavy traffic on all arteries into the heart of the city, prosperous businesses, respected places of learning, thousands of active men at Fort Gordon, thriving industry, the historic Savannah River. This is the Channel 6 coverage area. Our low channel number, maximum power, and tall tower enables us to serve 58 counties in Georgia and South Carolina. For many, it is the only television service they receive. This area is over 50,000 square miles, and 1.5 million people live in it. And this is Channel 6 Today. Be our guest as we conduct a brief tour through our facilities. You'll find there are many more faces here than just those you normally see on your television screen. About 50, in fact. This includes management, salesmen, engineers, announcers, studio personnel, artists, photographers, directors, office personnel, and so on. Mr. Fuqua, president of Fuqua Industries Incorporated, is a sole owner. Other TV and radio interests of Fuqua Industries include television station KTVE in El Dorado, Arkansas, and Monroe, Louisiana, and radio station WROZ in Evansville, Indiana. If you should visit WJBF, as thousands have done, you will be greeted by an attractive receptionist, Melba McClellan, in our lobby. Down the hall on the left are the offices of station executives. This is Asa Stallworth, who has recently been elevated from sales manager to station manager. Tom Hennessy, who had held that position for several years, is now general manager of an affiliated business. Mr. Stallworth coordinates the activities of all departments, sales, programming, engineering, production, and is responsible for the operation of Mr. Fuqua's other broadcast interest. For a successful operation, all departments must function well. He is a graduate of Emory University and, like many of the staff, is quite active in community affairs such as the Kiwanis Club, Boy Scouts, and the United Fund. His secretary and Mr. Fuqua's, Mrs. Winona Warner, like the large majority of employees, has been with WJBF for many years. About half of our staff spend their busy day on the second floor. The sales department is vital to any business organization. This department is headed up by John Raddick as local sales manager. He has been with the Fuqua organization for 10 years. The advertising representatives contact the local and area business firms to sell commercial time. They present a program they feel will be most effective for the advertiser. In other words, they create and sell ideas. With each passing year, more and more of the advertising budget of American business is going into television. Why? Because businessmen have found this to be the medium that reaches the largest number of people and delivers the best sales results. This is Henry Drost, in radio and television with WJBF for 14 years. Like a bulldog, but with a heart as big as the outdoors. The sponsor's interest always comes first with Henry. Steve Mandison, 21 years with the organization. Like all good salesmen, he offers only the idea that can do the best job for a particular sponsor. Steve is also well known as an on-the-air personality and promoter. Bert Harbin, relatively new to the business. He has the ideas and personality a salesman needs and has now gained the experience that is so necessary. Another top salesman is Walter Campbell, a WJBF success story. When WJBF went on the air 10 years ago, Walter was employed as a cameraman while still in high school. Later, he became a director and learned all phases of the business. His imagination and initiative have made him most valuable in serving our organization. Betty Story and Norma Prepper in the Channel 6 Traffic Department have several responsibilities. They keep the salesman advised on time available to potential sponsors. They arrange and type the program logs or schedules which show the time and name of each of our daily programs and public service and commercial announcements. These ladies also maintain communication with the networks and national advertising agencies through the use of teletype machines which bring in messages from such places as New York and Hollywood. Replies can immediately be typed back to the originating point. I think you're aware that we carry programs from both NBC and ABC in addition to local live programs, videotape, and film shows. Once a program or commercial idea is sold, production manager Ralph McFarlane and Larry Bennett of the production staff coordinate the thoughts of the program department, the advertiser, and the salesman, and create commercials or programs which in turn create viewers. This means plans must be made for slides, art cards, film, videotape, sets, and so on. Originality is essential in production since so much production is consumed every day. Original programs and commercials are written here in the copy department by Gerald Levy and Ann Broughton. Gerald's degree in advertising from the University of Georgia comes in handy here. Much of the promotion for our programs comes from these two. They also check the program schedule and make up books containing scripts for all broadcast materials, such as the commercial, promotion, and public service announcements that will be used each day. While scripts are being written, those in art and photography are busy too. The ingenuity of Don Hatch is to be admired. Don is a graduate of the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. He uses his skill in design and composition for making up art cards, which are then photographed and made into slides. For most of our videotape or live art material, Don believes that if it doesn't move, it isn't TV. Therefore, through his imagination, special effects that add movement to his work are developed. Most of his ideas are trade secrets. Jim Cruson, like many at WJBF, wears more than one cap. He is a talented artist with brush and display, but also designs most of our sets for local programs and public service and commercial announcements. It is the duty of these men to make the picture on your screen refreshing and appealing. Buck Tyler, in photography, is called upon to make movies on location at the advertiser's business and for news and public service material. Movies are also made here at Channel 6. Buck can convert artwork into slides, and he processes all types of still pictures and movies in our laboratory. It only takes minutes for film to be processed here. It was he who made the film you're watching tonight. Our movies are still far from ready for the air as it leaves the photo lab. It then comes to our film director, Bill Bailey, who must time, edit, and splice the film to the requirements of the commercial or news story. Since some of our programs are on film, they also must be timed and spliced. All movies are cataloged, filed, and previewed here. We move now into the Channel 6 control room, where all the various elements we've mentioned, script, slides, film, artwork, videotape, and audio tape, are coordinated into an effective program or commercial or public service announcement. This is the bailiwick of the directors and engineers. Director Louis Summerall is at the control panel. Through his monitors or various TV screens, he can see what our camera sees in the studio. He can speak to the cameraman through his intercom set to give them instructions such as, give me a close-up, a little tighter, now focus. That's it. He can fade in and out of a picture or bring in a super, which is a picture or words over another picture like this. Once he's got the picture he wants, he can switch to that camera. Then he gets set for the next picture. The engineer's job is to make sure the quality of the picture and sound is as good as possible. If anything goes wrong, his technical knowledge helps him find the cause in a hurry. He also maintains proper control over color programs. Channel 6 was the first station equipped to transmit color programs. Whenever you hear an announcement and the announcer is not on camera, his voice is coming from this booth, either live or by tape. All types of programs are received and sent to you from this control room. The network shows, movies such as this one being loaded on a projector by director Jerry Frazier. live ones like this one being planned by another director, Don Kent. Announcements that require slides or other visuals. A slide chain is being used here to load slides needed for the next on-the-air announcement. Now, the one type of program source that we haven't talked about much yet is videotape. Channel 6 is still the only station in Augusta with this wonderful bit of magic. The magician on the right is Chief Engineer Jack Joplin. The quality of a program recorded on this machine is just as good as live television. It reproduces pictures through an electronic process rather than a chemical process, as is the case with film. It enables us to reach for perfection. If a mistake is made, it only takes seconds to roll the tape back and do it again. We can perform special effects that would be too difficult to attempt live. If a dignitary is in the city for a brief time, we can videotape an interview for presentation later. Seconds later, we can see the results of the work of so many. Videotape brings quality into your home. Most of the station's public service or public affairs programs and announcements start their planning in this office, as does much of our promotion material. This station will never forget its obligation to supply a public service that informs, entertains, and educates its viewers. Special seasonal programs, election coverage, the opportunity to meet all candidates for elective office, and so on. These duties are the responsibility of the program director, your narrator, Carol Ward. You've heard the phrase, you get more news more times a day on Channel 6. Well, working to keep that statement true is News Director Jim Davis. The authority of Jim's presentation have gained valuable prestige for the station. Our news facilities include United Press news and picture machines, which are operating 24 hours a day, which calls to mind that WJBF has Augusta's only 7 days a week local news operation. Extensive coverage of local and area news stories is a daily feature, with many of these stories being reported and filmed by a most valuable member of our staff, Duke Flanagan. Weather and sports receive their share of attention too, as do shows designed for children and women. All of this on a daily basis. Any announcement or program originating from this station comes from this studio, equipped with all the needs of a successful operation. Studio manager Gray Mason calls the shots in setting up props, microphones, cameras, and so forth. Here, you'll find a revolving stage, enough lighting for 300 living rooms, temporary sets from the prop department, a kitchen. As you have seen, a large studio crew is kept quite active. When are these local programs presented? News and sports. In addition to network programs and bulletins at 7:25 and 8:25 a.m., at 12:55, 6 p.m. for local events, and at 6:15, Warren Heights reports on area happenings. And at 11 p.m. Weather on all news programs, but with increased emphasis at 6:25 and 11:10 p.m. Woman's World, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Ann McKnight is our woman's editor, a program devoted to subjects relating to the woman at home, the woman herself, the woman outside the home, and the woman as a wife and mother. Children's programs. Monday through Friday at 4:30, Terry Sams as Trooper Terry brings merriment to the young ones at home and those visiting with their hero. That camera and the child are the betrayers of the phony. We are fortunate to have the services of the trooper who has a deep, sincere interest in the youngster. Just as popular with the young at heart is Bwana John, the ruler of the jungle. The Bwana, John Raddick, has among his admirers his own 4 children at home. Bwana John is seen every Saturday at 8 a.m. There are always the special reports and programs such as this exclusive interview with Senator Richard Russell, or the concise and complete returns of all elections. Thousands of citizens from this area have appeared with Richmond County Farm Agent J.W. Chambers on the Farm and Home Hour at 7:30 a.m. Saturdays. They discuss and demonstrate subjects of interest to the rural area. Numerous vocal groups have appeared every week on the Sunday morning parade of quartets with Steve Mandison. We haven't missed the teenager either. Now, well into its 6th year, is the Top 10 dance party seen every Saturday at 12:30. The show has featured well over 10,000 high school students from throughout our vast coverage area. You can well be proud of the youth in our Southland. Each week there's a dance contest, games, prizes, and yes. Visitors to Channel 6 can watch the activity in our studio through our viewing room, which seats close to 100. Many awards have been given to our station and to individual staff members over the years for public service activity. A typical top award came to the station this summer from the Georgia Department of Education for a special program presented on Channel 6. Staff members have served as presidents of such civic clubs as Satoma, Lions, Civitan, JC's, Exchange. WJBF presents network programming of the highest caliber, offering you the choice programs of NBC and ABC. The daily schedule brings viewers a complete, well-rounded day of news and information, comedy, adventure, sports, and suspense. A new idea in television was started with the Today Show, seen each morning on Channel 6. Complete informality setting the mood for interviews and special interest features. Bonanza, the story of the strong tie that binds a father and his 3 sons together in the lawless West, has also proved a long-time favorite. Lovers of the unusual and the mysterious unknown find spine-tingling thrill after thrill on The Outer Limits, while you, who enjoy detective stories in a pleasant offbeat manner, can enjoy Burke's Law on WJBF's outstanding schedule. Entertainment for the entire family is an important part of our schedule, and who could provide family entertainment better than Walt Disney? Or those wacky Flintstones? Or the widely acclaimed International Showtime? Names that have become a legend in the world of news and entertainment are found in great numbers on WJBF's schedule. Many boasting of some of the industry's greatest awards, and many adding the lifelike dimension of color to make your television viewing more enjoyable. Channel 6 viewers write us thousands of letters every year, and we like to receive them. Betty Giddings sorts out a small amount here. Your comments on our program are always welcomed and considered. Your questions receive our replies. Fred Bailey gets that mail to the post office in a hurry. Those prizes for our contest, too. Now, all of these people find their jobs most satisfying, but they must pay their bills. So on certain days of the month, here's the most popular man around, our treasurer, Donald McDonald. Mr. Mack has been associated with us in radio and television for many years. He also is responsible for billing and offers financial advice to others in management. When all of these people have performed their duty, and you see how one job relates to another, our television signal leaves our downtown location and, by a microwave unit on top of our building, is sent to our transmitter site in Beach Island, South Carolina, about 10 miles east of Augusta. Engineers at the transmitter make final adjustments to our picture and sound. From our tall tower, our maximum power and low channel number, it then comes to your home, and we hope you keep that dial on Channel 6. Practically every home has at least one television set, and many homes now have several sets. The average American family spends 6 hours a day watching the television screen. We are available to you 18 to 19 hours a day, 127 hours a week, 560 hours a month. We take great effort to use all the ingenuity, careful planning, and scientific aids available to provide this tremendous volume of entertainment and information. We suffer some mental anguish and trust a bit to luck. But we always remember it's those like you and those unlike you who must be pleased. We feel this programming for every taste to be found in our schedule. Our efforts will be strengthened every year to come. That's our story, the story of Channel 6. Warren Heights interviews the president of WJBF, J.B. Fuqua.
Sure, fastest thing we got. Who would ever have thought that television would have become as important as it is, J.B.? Looking at it objectively, though, how is television different today from what you expected 10 years ago?
Well, Warren, television grew much more rapidly than most of us thought it would. that has been the big surprise, and a very happy surprise. And one of the things that has been a phenomenon to me is that 10 years ago, we wondered how we would ever find the program material to program a television station even during the evening hours. And when we started out in television, we operated from about 5 o'clock till about 10 or 11 o'clock. But now, television stations routinely operate from 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning till the end of the following morning. Our problem now is not what to program with, but to choose from the various sources of material that are available. Another big change is that 10 years ago, we felt, most of us, that television would be primarily an entertainment medium. And we did not anticipate that it would turn out to be such a tremendous news medium.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, television in the home is accepted as an everyday thing, and some homes have 2 and possibly even 3 sets. Which brings to mind this question, J.B. How can one account for the enormous growth and public acceptance of television during this span of years of which we're talking?
Well, I think it's the first thing we've had come along in the history of man that enabled everybody to have pretty much an equal opportunity to enjoy news and entertainment. Now, when people learn to read, that's an acquired sense, and some people, it becomes work for them, and a lot of people don't read a great deal, and they don't get the full benefits out of reading. And even with radio, it took a good deal of imagination, but with television, it's all there. It's seeing is a natural talent, and everybody has an equal opportunity, and consequently, we've had a mass audience, and we've had things live now, and everybody can participate. It's just been a tremendous thing for the benefit of mankind.
Let's get back into this matter of programs that we were talking about a moment ago. If you had to single out the 2, say the 2 leading events or programs of the past 10 years, what would they be?
Well, it sticks in my mind the first flight and the subsequent flights of the astronauts. I have always said that that's when television made its greatest hit and showed what it could do, because there was a case where a person with a very minimum of education, maybe in a most remote rural area, was able to participate and see what was going on, the great phenomena of science. They could see it and enjoy it and understand it just as well as a person of great wealth and great education anywhere.
This might be what you would call television's coming of age.
Yes, and I would say the second great thing was that which has happened just recently. I think that the coverage of the television networks and of the local stations of the tragic death and the subsequent funeral services of the late president was certainly something that brought all the American people in to participate in a very dramatic period in history. It enabled everybody to participate as though they were on the scene, and it gave everybody, I think, an appreciation of the greatness of this country.
It was an astonishing accomplishment.
And I might say that the average viewer would never appreciate how much equipment and how much personnel was tied up, and the cost of which ran into many millions of dollars to cover that event of the last several days.
It would be interesting to explore that sometime. Well, now this is past. Let's look into the next 10 years for a moment. What technical and programming refinements and improvements do you predict during the next decade?
Well, Warren, I don't think there'll be any dramatic changes in the transmission end of television, because we're pretty well locked into certain technical standards. However, there are being developed cameras and other devices which within a few years, any place that you can take an ordinary camera, you'll be able to take a television camera, and therefore news coverage and coverage of other events will be much more intimate, and there'll be more of it than we have now. That's my own opinion. Also, the greatest change that'll happen in the next 10 years, and this is guesswork, but I think the greatest change will be that 10 years from now, everybody will have a color set. Color has developed more slowly than certainly I thought that it would, but color sets are beginning to sell rather rapidly now, and 10 years from now, I think that everybody will accept color television as being quite routine.
Thank you, Mr. J.B. Fuqua.